Namaste. I'm going to continue with the I Am discourses. And we're going to continue on with Discourse 19. Okay, Discourse 19. December the 5th, 1932, Saint Germain. Invocation. Thou majestic presence of the ascended Jesus Christ, thou who hast gained thy eternal dominion over all things, thou who dost rest serene in the heart of the eternal Father, pouring forth thy wondrous radiance, enfolding all mankind. We give praise and thanks to thee. Our hearts fill with great rejoicing at the ascended host. With thee see and manipulate the drawing eternal light for the blessing of humanity. Through his own personal ray, Jesus will now speak his wish to the students. Jesus' discourse. Jesus. When I said, I am the open door which no man may shut, I meant humanity to understand. I referred to the great I am, which is the life of every individual manifest in form. I did not wish to convey that the personal Jesus was the only one with whom this great privilege was ordained. Each one of you, beloved children of the one Father, has the same mighty presence within you, the great I am that I have, and that I had at the time by which I achieved the final and eternal victory. Here I wish you to understand for encouragement, strength and certainty in your minds, that the consciousness I used for this great victory was the use of the great I am presence which you are being taught. I have made search through all the avenues available at that time, and at last the determination and desire for the truth led me to the great Master whom you shall one day know. He gave me this inner secret and mighty acknowledgement, turning me to that mighty presence, the great I am. Through his radiation I was able to comprehend and at once begin using it. This is the only way by which any individualization of the ray of God may achieve the eternal victory and build his or her structure upon a firm foundation form which no outer activity can ever disturb. At this time I wish to convey the simple, all-powerful use of this presence to you, all who have achieved the mighty victory and who have been able to raise their bodies as I did, or who raised them before, have used the conscious activity of the mighty eternal presence I am. When I said to my disciples and to humanity, the things that I have done shall ye do also, and even greater things shall ye do, I knew whereof I spoke, knowing that within each individualization or child of God there was this mighty I am presence by whose use you are impelled forward with no uncertainty. I say impelled because I mean just that. The constant use of your I am presence does impel you forward in spite of any activity of the outer self, so long as this single idea is held firmly. Storms, distress, and disturbance may rage about you, but in the consciousness of the I am presence you can and are able to stand serene, unmoved by the seeth vortex of human creation which may or may not be about you. There is but one way by which you and the Father may become eternally one, and that is through the full acceptance of him and his I am presence, energy, love, wisdom and power, which he has given you, golden links, golden steps by which you climb serenely upward to your final achievement. Sometime, somewhere, every individualization of God the Father must find his or her way back to the Father through his or her I am presence, fulfilling their cycle or cycles of individualizations in the use of the activity of the outer self. The Earth is the only sphere in which there is a density of the atomic structure that you experience. The conscious recognition and use of the I Am Presence, which you are, steadily raises the vibratory action of your atomic structure, unclothing and liberating the electronic activity which is hid within the atom, enabling you to become self-luminous beings. I wish it here distinctly understood by all who may receive or even contact it, that I am not and never was a special being created of God, different from the rest of humanity. It is true that I had made previous conscious effort and had attained much previous to the embodiment in which I won the eternal victory. My choice of the experiences 2,000 years ago was to set the example to which every individualization of God would and must sooner or later follow. How I urge you, beloved children of God, to look upon me as your elder brother, one within you and one with you. When I said or left the world and the word that I am with you always, the I am presence which I am and which you are is one. Therefore, do you not see how I am with you always? Think deeply on this and try to feel its reality. At the time and after my ascension, I saw the immensity of the radiation I would be able to pour forth to my beloved brothers and sisters upon the earth, from the sphere in which I had become fitted to dwell. I wish to say to you all in truth, every individual who will send his or her conscious thought to me with the desire to be raised above the limitations of earth or of his or her own creation, and will live accordingly, will receive every assistance from me that is possible to be given, according to the steps of growth in consciousness which he or she attains from time to time. Do not misunderstand me at this point when I refer to growth. I'm speaking of humanity in general. I do not refer to some who have previous attainment sufficient, which in their present use and full acceptance of their I Am Presence, they may rent the veil of humanity, creation, and step forth into the embrace of the ascended blazing I Am Presence at any time. There are some in the group of students already drawn together for whom it is possible to do this. That depends entirely upon themselves, upon the calm, poised intensity by which they become conscious of their I Am Presence. These great tidings I bring to you because I provide them in my own personal experience. Before I became fully decided in what manner I should leave the example to humanity, I suddenly, from an inner impulse, began to use the statement, I am the resurrection and the life. Within 48 hours after I began using that statement with great rejoicing, I saw what was to be done, and I wish to assure you that it was the conscious use of the mighty statement, I am the resurrection and the life, which enabled me to make the ascension in the presence of so many and imprint or record upon the etheric records that example for all humanity which will stand eternally present. It was unfortunate that the veil of the orthodox idea was drawn over the minds of the people, pervading the comprehension that each one had within himself or herself the I Am Presence, the same as I had, by which he or she could attain and do the same things I did and win the eternal victory. Such beloved students, it is my personal message I leave with you, spoken through the light and sound ray, into which any of you may enter, see, and hear with sufficient conscious preparation. Again, I urge you to think of me as your elder brother, ready to give you assistance at all times. Do not think of me as a transcendent being, so far beyond your reach that contact is impossible, for the I Am Presence which enabled me to make the ascension is the same I Am Presence that will enable you to make the ascension as I did. Only today you have the assistance of the great ascended host of beings who have won the eternal victory and joyously stand at your service as you make yourselves ready. With my love I enfold you. I again repeat, I am with you always. Saint Germain, did I not have a surprise for you? benediction. Into the fullness of thy mighty silence, O great presence, we come to rest, to feel thy peace, to love thy harmony, pervading all. O mighty love presence, which beats the heart of all mankind, strengthen thyself within their hearts, draw and hold their conscious attention upon thee, the great love star in the heart of each one. Glorify thy presence and thy Creator in them. Bless all mankind with that strength to look only to thee and to stand steadfast facing thee. Well, that's profound to say the least, and this clears up all the misconceptions of the Orthodox Church's view and especially the Roman Catholics' view, but the Orthodoxy is no better, and the evangelical view, which is no bloody better. The distortions that they've had of Jesus Christ, the real Jesus Christ, the real Yeshua. By the way, he wasn't even called Jesus. Jesus means Hail Zeus, and Amen is paying homage to Amen-Ra. Amen-Ra was the most vicious, evil tyrant pre-Old Testament that existed. He was the worst ancient Egyptian, the most savage, the most brutal ancient Egyptian leader that Egypt had ever seen. So this puts things into perspective, and this is from Jesus' own words, correcting the distortions of the Bible. You see, even the biblical scholars admit that so many translations have happened that they've lost the true meaning. And the Dead Sea Scrolls read very, very, very differently to the canonized Bible. Just check out the Dead Sea Scrolls. Check out the Nag Hammadi library that was found in Egypt. The original biblical scrolls. They're very, very, very different. When you translate them, they're very, very different to how the Bible, the canonized Bible, reads. It's fascinating to read, and it paints a very, very different version of Yeshua Hamashiac, the true Christ, the true one who brought the Christ consciousness 2,000 years ago, And it gives a very different story, and he never ever said that he was different from us. He said, you will all do greater things than I. Now think about that. You will all do greater things than I. How can he be the only Son of God if we will do greater things than he? How can we do greater things than the only Son of God? It doesn't make any sense. And of course in the Bible they talk about reincarnation as well, and Jesus never ever rebukes them, his disciples, for talking about reincarnation. They say, oh, are you Elijah? Some say you're Elijah. Some say you're a reincarnation of this other prophet, of a reincarnation of this other prophet, this other guy. Jesus never says, no, for surely reincarnation does not exist. You are only born once. He never says that. And he continually says, you are the sons and the daughters of the living God. It's just that the biblical translations have been lost. The true meaning has been lost. And thank God that Jesus, the true Yeshua, who was a human being on earth, a highly ascended soul who came to earth to finish off his fourth density experience, to ascend into the fifth density, where the fifth density, as we've discussed, is where you are beyond duality, beyond good and evil. You're beyond that. You're in a more unified state of beingness. So it's just incredible. And I applaud any Christians and anybody who's interested in this to go back and read the book of Didymus Thomas, who actually records the actual sayings of Jesus, the actual, literally the word for word. Bear in mind all of the other disciples didn't even know how to read or write. So when they say the book of John, John did not write the book of John, and the book of John was only written 900 years after Christ died. The book of Matthew, Mark, and Luke were only written hundreds and hundreds of years after Christ died, and Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John did not know how to read or write. Okay, so that's, yeah, hopefully that's put some clarity on things. Namaste.